Good evening. Today we will discuss about some problems and very short answer questions and short answer questions on in a motion in a plane. Motion in a plane. From the chapter, there will be 4 plus 2, and here there are the choice. In 4 marks and 8 marks question, there is a choice. In the 4 marks question, total 12 questions are given. In the 12 questions, we can do only 6 questions. So that from the chapter, there will be a chance of 2 4 marks questions and 1 2 marks question. There will be a chance of 2 4 marks questions and 1 2 marks questions. So that you concentrate on motion in a plane. There are 2 4 marks questions and 1 2 marks question. Okay. So that in this motion in a plane, in this motion in a plane, we will discuss about the vectors and projectile motion. Projectile motion. We will discuss about the vectors and projectile motion. Here in the motion in a straight line, we will discuss about the only horizontal motion and vertical motion. But in this one, motion in a plane, we will discuss about that is the combination of the horizontal and vertical motion, that is along x and y axis, and we are also discussing about the vector. This is the most important chapter. In this from this chapter, there will be chance of the 2 4 marks questions and 1 2 marks question. From the motion in a straight line, there will be 1 4 marks question and 1 2 marks question. Now we go for the some of the problems based on these vectors and projectile motion. Good evening, Nana. Yashwan, Akshaya, Kali. Good evening, Nana. Now, here we go for the some of the problems based on this one. Here from the chapter, there will be minimum 2 marks, 2 4 marks questions and 1 2 marks question. Right. Here show that for a projectile launched x on angle 45 degrees, the maximum height of the projectile here launched at an angle of 45 degrees. The maximum height of the projectile is 1/4 of the range. Maximum height of the projectile is 1/4 of the range. Then we show that maximum height is nothing but 1/4 of the range. So that here we go for the solution. First of all, given that theta is equal 45 degrees. And here, what is the maximum height? Maximum height H max is equal to, what is the formula? U square sin square theta by 2g. Maximum height is nothing but U square sin square theta by 2g. H max is equal to U square sin square 45 by, this is nothing but 2g. Sin 45 is nothing but 1 by root 2. Sin square 45 is nothing but 1 by 2. So that H max is equal to U square by 2g into 1 by 2. So that here H max is equal to U square by 4g. This is taken as equation number 1. This is taken as equation number 1. Now we go for the range. What is the formula for the range? Here range R is equal to U square sin 2 theta by g. Range R is equal to U square sin 2 theta by g. Here theta is given that 45 degrees, so that range R is equal U square sin 2 into 45 is nothing but 90 by g. Sin 90 is nothing but 1. Range R is equal U square by g. This is nothing but equation number 2. From 1 and 2, it is clear. U square by g is nothing but 1 and 2. H max is equal to R by 4. U square by G is nothing but R. So that here H max is equal to R by 4. Here we want to show that maximum height of the projectile is 1/4 of the range. So that maximum height of the projectile is nothing but 1/4 of the range. This is the so H max is equal to the R by 4. Next one. We want to go to next one. Modulus of A bar plus B bar is equal to modulus of A bar minus B bar. Prove that angle between A bar and B bar is 90 degrees. Here in the projectile, here in the case of the parallelogram law of vectors, here what is the resultant vector? R is equal to what is the formula? Here resultant vector R bar is equal to, here this is nothing but R bar is nothing but some P bar plus Q bar. Here magnitude of R bar is nothing but magnitude of P bar plus Q bar. Therefore range R is equal to what is the formula? Under root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. Here this is the part. R bar is equal to P bar minus Q bar. That is nothing but P square plus Q square plus minus 2PQ cos theta. So that here, this is nothing but, here given that modulus of A bar plus B bar is equal to the modulus of A bar minus B bar. A bar minus B bar. So that here A bar plus B bar is equal to the under root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta is equal to under root of A square plus B square minus 2AB cos theta. Here squaring on both sides. Squaring on both sides. So square is cancelled. Square root is cancelled. A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta is equal to A square plus B square minus 2AB cos theta. The total value taken that side, here A square cancel, B square cancel. So that 4AB cos theta is equal to the 0. That is cos theta is equal to the 0. That is therefore theta is equal, when the cos value becomes to 0, theta is equal to 90. Therefore theta is equal to 90 degrees. Modulus of A bar plus B bar is equal to the modulus of A bar minus B bar. Then angle between the two vectors is nothing but 90 degrees. A bar plus B bar is nothing but under root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta is equal to under root of A square plus B square minus 2AB cos theta. Okay, theta is nothing but here. Okay. Okay, Nana? That is the theta is equal to 90 degrees. Next one. Show that maximum height and range of the projectiles are. Show that maximum height and range of the projectiles formulas are U square sin square theta by 2G and U square sin 2 theta by 2. We want to find the maximum height formula and the range formula. First of all, we go for the maximum height. What is the definition of maximum height? Here, what is the definition of the maximum height? For example, if a body is projected with initial velocity u at an angle theta, with initial velocity u at an angle theta, this is nothing but x-axis, this is nothing but y-axis. This velocity is resolved into two rectangular components, u cos theta, and this is nothing but u sin theta. Horizontal component is nothing but u cos theta and vertical component is nothing but u sin theta. Okay? Here. So that we want to find the maximum height. Here this is nothing but, this is the path of the, here this is the path of the projectile is parabola. Here this is nothing but the maximum height h. When body is moving in upward direction, horizontal component of velocity remains constant, but vertical, here g value is acting downward direction. U sin theta is in upward direction, so that velocity gradually decreases and becomes to zero at maximum. Vertical component of velocity becomes to zero. So that what is the maximum height? The height at which the vertical component of velocity is zero, that is called the maximum height of the projectile. Maximum height of the projectile definition is nothing but the height at which the vertical component of velocity is equal to zero, that is called the maximum height. We want to find the maximum height. What is the initial vertical component of velocity? U sin theta. What is the final vertical component of velocity? Zero. What is the acceleration that is opposite to the velocity? So that A is equal to minus g, and that is we want to find the height. That height is called the maximum height. So that we are using the kinematic equations. Here, what is the which kinematic equation we are using? UVAS. So that we are using the V square minus U square is equal to using equations of motion. V square minus U square is equal to 2AS. Okay, V square minus U square is equal to 2AS. Here, vertical component of velocity Vy square, Uy square, 2 into Ay into Sy. What is the vertical component of velocity Vy value? 0. Minus Uy is nothing but U sin theta whole square. That equal 2 into Ay is nothing but minus G. This S is nothing but H max. S is nothing but H max. So that this is nothing but minus U square sin square theta is equal minus 2G into H max. Minus cancel. Therefore, maximum height is equal to U square sin square theta by 2G. H max is equal to the U square sin square theta by 2G. This is the formula for the maximum height. Now we go for the what is the formula for the range? What is the formula for the range? Maximum height is nothing but the height at which vertical component of velocity equals 0. That is the maximum height. Here range is nothing but this is called the range. Here range is nothing but the maximum horizontal distance traveled. That is called the here. Next we go for the range. Here we go for the range. Here, what is the range here? For example, the body is projected with a velocity at an angle theta. Here, this is nothing but x-axis, y-axis. So that here, the maximum horizontal distance traveled during the time of flight. Maximum horizontal distance traveled. Maximum horizontal distance traveled during the time of flight. During the time of flight is called range. It's called the range. Maximum horizontal distance traveled during the time of flight is called the range. Here, velocity is resolved into two rectangular components, u cos theta, and this is nothing but u sin theta. We want to find the horizontal distance, so that we are taking the horizontal velocity ux is equal to u cos theta. And what is the horizontal acceleration? Horizontal acceleration is nothing but 0 because it is only moving in gravitational field. Here gravity is acting only downward direction. Along the horizontal direction, there is no force is acting, so that Ax is equal to 0. And here we want to find the displacement along the x-axis. This is nothing but range, and that time t is nothing but time of flight. So that we are using the formula S is equal to ut plus of at square. Here S is equal to what is the formula? Ut plus of at square Sx ux ax square. Here, what is the sx value? Range is equal. Ux is nothing but u cos theta into time of flight t plus acceleration is 0, that is equal to the 0. So that range r is equal u cos theta into time of flight formula 2u sin theta by g. What is the time of flight? That is nothing but 2u sin theta by g. So that range r is equal to u square 2 sin theta cos theta by g. 2 sin theta cos theta is nothing but u square sin 2 theta by g. So that is the formula for the range. Maximum height formula is the u square sin square theta by g. Range formula is the u square sin 2 theta by g. This is the formula for the range. Next question. Define unit vector, null vector and position vector. First we go for the unit vector. What is the unit vector? A vector whose magnitude is one, that is called the unit vector. Here, what is the unit vector? A vector whose magnitude is one is called unit vector. Is called unit vector. A vector whose magnitude is 1 is called the unit vector. What is the null vector? Next one is the null vector. What is the null vector? A vector whose magnitude is 0 is called the null vector. A vector whose magnitude is 0 is called null vector. Is called null vector. A vector whose magnitude is 0 is called the null vector. A vector whose magnitude is 1, that is called the unit vector. Now we go for the position vector. Here, position vector. What is the position vector? For example, a vector for x-axis, y-axis, for example, this z-axis. Here is the point P of x, y, z. So that this r bar is called the position vector. A vector which specifies the here a vector which specifies the position of the particle. Here a vector which specifies the position of the particle. Position of the particle is called position vector. Is called position vector. Is called position vector. For example, P of x, y, z is a point. Here, if P of x, y, z is a point, then position vector r bar is equal to, that is written as xi cap plus yj cap plus z k cap. This is called the, that means x, I cap means unit vector along the x-axis, y cap, j cap means unit vector along the y-axis, k cap means unit vector along the z-axis. So that r bar is equal to xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap, that is called the position vector. Okay, so unit vector is a vector whose magnitude is 1 is called the unit vector. A vector whose magnitude is 0 is called the null vector. A vector which specifies the position is called the position vector. Next one. Show that the trajectory of an object thrown at certain angle with the horizontal is parabola. Most important 4 marks question. Show that trajectory of an object thrown at certain angle with the horizontal is parabola. compulsory. Next exam, there is the question that is the path of the projectile is parabola, most important one. So, okay, listen. Here, let us consider here. Here, let us consider a body is projected. Here is the y-axis, this is nothing but the x-axis. Here let us consider a body is projected with initial velocity u at an angle theta with the horizontal. Here what is the projectile? Any body is projected at an angle theta other than the 90 degrees, and moving only in the gravitational field, that is called the projectile. What is the projectile? Any body is projected at an angle theta with the horizontal and moving only in the gravitational field, that is called the projectile. Now we want to show that the path of the projectile is parabola. The path of the projectile is parabola. What is the projectile? Any body is projected at an angle theta with the horizontal other than 90 degrees and moving only in the gravitational field, that is called the projectile. Now we want to show that path of the projectile is parabola. Here let us consider body is projected with initial velocity u at an angle theta with the horizontal. So that this velocity is resolved into two rectangular components. That is nothing but horizontal component is nothing but u cos theta. Vertical component is nothing but u sin theta. Vertical component is nothing but u sin. Here it is moving only in the gravitational field, so that only one force is acting. That is the gravitational force that is acting vertically downward direction. Here is moving only in the gravitational field, so that gravitational force is acting vertically downward, so that one force is acting, that is only downward direction. So that here initial horizontal component of velocity. Initial horizontal component of velocity ux is nothing but, what is the value? U cos theta. Initial horizontal component of velocity u cos theta. Initial vertical component of velocity. Initial vertical component of velocity. Uy is equal to u sin theta. Uy is equal to u sin theta. Ux is nothing but u cos theta. Uy is nothing but u sin theta. Along the horizontal direction, there is no force is acting. Here, along the horizontal direction, there is no force is acting. Along horizontal direction, there is no force is acting. Therefore, horizontal component of velocity remains constant. That is, ux is equal to u cos theta. That value is always constant. U cos theta is constant. Okay, along vertical direction, there is force of gravity is acting. Force of gravity is therefore vertical component of velocity changing from point to point. Here horizontal component of velocity remains constant. but vertical component of velocity changing from point to point. Here, when the body is projected, now we want to show that the path of the projectile is nothing but parabola. Here, this is the. Here, for example, let us consider particle reached the point P of x comma y after t seconds. Now we want to show that this path is nothing but parabola. Here, 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 let us consider particle reach, particle reached the point P of x comma y after t seconds. After t seconds. Here, what is the horizontal distance traveled? X. What is the vertical distance traveled? That is nothing but y. We want to find x and y values. So, first of all, we go for along horizontal. Along horizontal. What is the initial horizontal velocity? When we are discussing about the horizontal, we are taking the horizontal component of velocities and accelerations. Ux is nothing but u cos theta. What is the horizontal acceleration? Zero, because there is no force is acting along the horizontal direction. And what is the displacement? That is the x, and time t is nothing but t seconds. So that we are using the formula S is equal to ut plus of at square. That is nothing but x is equal u cos theta into time is nothing but t. So that what is the horizontal distance after t seconds? X is equal u cos theta into t. That implies t is equal x by u cos theta. This is the equation number 1. Along the horizontal direction, horizontal velocity u cos theta, horizontal acceleration is the 0. Distance traveled is x in time t seconds. So that x is equal to u cos theta into t. T is nothing but x by u cos theta. Now we go for the along vertical direction. Along vertical direction. Along vertical direction. Along vertical direction. What is the initial vertical velocity? U sin theta. What is the initial vertical velocity? U sin theta. What is the vertical acceleration? Acceleration is acting downward direction, the body is moving upward direction. So that Ay is equal to minus G. Displacement is nothing but y in a time of t seconds. So that we are using the same formula S is equal ut plus of at square, y is equal u sin theta into t minus of gt square. Of gt square. From 1, t is equal, what is the formula? X by u cos theta. We are substituting into, so that y is equal to u sin theta into t is nothing but x by u cos theta minus of g into t square. T square is nothing but x by u cos theta whole square, x by u cos theta whole square. Here u and u cancel, sin theta by cos theta is nothing but tan theta, y is nothing but tan theta x minus gx square by 2u square cos square theta. Y is equal tan theta x minus gx square by 2u square cos square theta. Here theta comma g and u are constants. So that y is equal some written as constant ax minus, that is nothing but bx square. Y is equal ax minus bx square. It is the equation of parabola. It is the equation of parabola. Therefore, path of the projectile is parabola. Therefore, path of projectile is parabola. Path of the projectile is parabola. So that here simply the most important 4 mark question shows that the trajectory of the path of the projectile is parabola. Here, horizontal component of velocity is nothing but u cos theta, vertical component of velocity is nothing but u sin theta. Along the horizontal direction, there is no force is acting. Along the vertical direction, gravitational force is acting. So that, first of all, after t seconds, it reaches the point P after t seconds. So that here, along the horizontal distance, what is the distance traveled? X is equal to u cos theta into t. T is nothing but x by u cos theta. Y is equal to u sin theta into t minus half gt square. We are substituting the x by u cos theta. Then y is equal to ax minus bx square. It is the here path of the projectile is the parabola. This is the most important 4 mark. Next one. Here is the 2 mark question. A bar is equal to I cap plus J cap. What is the angle between the vector? What is the angle made by the vector? What is the angle between the vector and the x-axis we want to find? Here A bar is this level. What is the angle made by the vector with the x-axis we want to find? Here this is the some y-axis and this is nothing but x-axis. Some this is a vector. Some A bar. Here vector here A bar is equal to I cap plus J cap. A bar is written as some AX I cap plus AY J cap. Here we want to find the theta value. Here A bar, horizontal component of the A bar is nothing but AX. Vertical component is nothing but AY. This is nothing but AY. Here, what is the AX value? 1. AY value is also nothing but 1. What is the angle made by the vector with the x-axis? Here from graph, opposite value AY and adjacent value AX, tan theta is equal to AY by AX. Here AY is nothing but 1, AX is also nothing but 1. So that here, therefore, tan theta is equal to 1 by 1. Tan theta is equal to 1, therefore theta is nothing but 45 degrees. What is the angle made by the vector? With x-axis, that is nothing but 45 degrees. Tan theta is equal to AY by AX. AX is here compared with, this is the equation. Compare A bar is equal to xi plus ayj. X is nothing but 1, ay is nothing but 1. So the tan theta is equal to 1. So the theta is nothing but 45 degrees. Next. P bar and Q bar values are given. Find the magnitude of P bar plus Q bar. Here P bar is nothing but this the value. Q bar is equal to 4i plus 4j plus 10k. Find the magnitude of P bar plus Q bar. So that, first of all, here what is the P bar plus Q bar? Here P bar is nothing but 2i cap plus 4j cap plus 14k cap plus Q bar is nothing but 4i cap plus 4j cap plus 10k cap, 10k cap. So that here P bar plus Q bar is equal to 2 plus 4, that is a 6i cap plus 8j cap plus, that is nothing but 24k cap. This is nothing but the P bar plus Q bar. Here we want to find magnitude of P bar plus Q bar. Magnitude of P bar plus Q bar is equal. It is in the form of the xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. Then magnitude is nothing but under root of x square plus y square plus z square. X is nothing but 6, y is nothing but 8, z is nothing but 24. So that modulus of P bar plus Q bar is equal to under root of, here that is the 6k 36 plus 8k 64 plus, that is nothing but 24k, that is the 576. So that modulus of P bar plus Q bar is nothing but under root of 676. 576 plus 100, that is nothing but 676, that is nothing but 26 into 26, 36, 12, 15, 12, 4, 5. So the 676, so that for the magnitude of P bar plus Q bar is nothing but 26. The magnitude of P bar plus Q bar, that is nothing but the 26. In this way, we can do the problem. Magnitude of any vector is equal to the under root of x square plus y square plus z square. If it is in vector form, only magnitudes are given, P and Q magnitudes are given, then R is the magnitude of P bar plus Q bar is equal to under root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta if P and Q values are given. And P is given that 2 meters and Q is given that 3 meters. Then what is the magnitude of P bar plus Q bar under root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos. These are given in vector form, I cap plus J cap plus K cap. Then magnitude is nothing but under root of x square plus y square plus z square. Next one. Can a vector of magnitude 0 have non-zero components? Here, it is not possible. No, if the vector having the magnitude is 0, that vector here, no, here, for example, if A bar is equal to AXI plus AYJ plus AZK, then magnitude, that is the modulus of A bar is equal to, what is the formula? Under root of AX square plus AY square plus AZ square. If A is the magnitude of A bar is equal to 0, then AX is equal to AY is equal to AZ must be equal to the 0. Can a vector of magnitude 0 have non-zero components? No, that never be possible. No, that never be possible. Because any component have, then vector magnitudes never be 0. This is the example. Okay? No, that never be possible. Next one. What is the acceleration of the projectile at the top of the trajectory? What is the acceleration of the projectile at the top of the trajectory? Here. First of all, some this is nothing but y-axis, some this is nothing but x-axis, x and y. Here if a body is projected, at an angle theta with initial velocity u, so that the body, the path of the body is nothing but parabola. The path of the body is nothing but parabola. Here at the maximum height, here only one force is acting, that is nothing but the gravitational force. Gravitational force is always acting vertically downwards only. At any point, the acceleration due to gravity is acting vertically downwards only. Here at this position, vertical component of velocity 0, only horizontal component of velocity. And what is the direction of acceleration due to gravity? What is the acceleration of the projectile at the top of the trajectory? That is acceleration of projectile at maximum height, at the top of the trajectory, at the top of its trajectory is A is equal to, what is the value? G, acting vertically downward. A is equal to G, acting vertically downward direction. Okay, next one. State the parallelogram law of vectors and derive an expression for the magnitude and direction of the vector. Magnitude and direction of the vector. Most important, another most important 4 marks question. Here, the path of the projectile is parabola is the most important, and the parallelogram law of vectors is also the most important question. Here, this is the. Here we want to show that state the parallelogram law of vectors. What is the parallelogram law of vectors? If two vectors are represented by the two sides of the parallelogram, two adjacent sides of the parallelogram. Here, for example, this is taken as the parallelogram. Parallelogram means opposite sides are equal. Here, if two vectors are represented by the two adjacent sides of the parallelogram, then diagonal of the parallelogram gives the resultant of those two vectors both in magnitude and direction. That is called the parallelogram law of vectors. What is the parallelogram law of vectors? If two vectors are represented by both magnitude and direction by the two adjacent sides of the parallelogram, then the diagonal drawn from the same point gives the resultant of those two vectors, okay, here. What is the parallelogram law of vectors? Derive the expression for the magnitude and direction of the resultant vector. Here is the parallelogram law of vectors. Here, if two vectors are represented by the two sides of the parallelogram, both in magnitude and direction, then the diagonal of the parallelogram drawn from the same point gives the resultant of those two vectors both in magnitude and direction. This is called the parallelogram law of vectors. What is the statement? If two vectors are represented by the two adjacent sides of the parallelogram, both in magnitude and direction, then diagonal of the parallelogram drawn from the same point gives the resultant of those two vectors both in magnitude and direction. This is called the parallelogram law of vectors. Now we go for the explanation. Here, if two vectors are represented by the two sides of the parallelogram, here. For example, this is nothing but P bar, this is nothing but Q bar. So that here they are taking is the P bar, and here also here. Here, what is the angle between the P bar and Q bar? Angle is taken as some theta. Now the resultant, the diagonal of the parallelogram. Here, this is the diagonal of the parallelogram. This is the diagonal of the parallelogram. That is nothing but here, this is the R bar is equal to P bar plus Q bar. That gives the resultant magnitude and direction. The angle between the P bar and Q bar is nothing but the theta. The angle made by the resultant with the P bar is nothing but alpha. Here we are taken as OA is nothing but P bar, OB is nothing but Q bar, and here this is taken as the C, and C is extended up to the point D, so that here there are two triangles are formed. First of all, we are taken as here we want to find the magnitude of the vector. Here P bar and Q bar are the two adjacent sides. Here OA bar is nothing but P bar, OB bar is nothing but Q bar, OC bar is nothing but R bar, and the angle between P bar and Q bar, angle between P bar and Q bar is the theta. Angle between P bar and Q bar is theta. Now we want to find the magnitude of the vector. Magnitude of R bar. First of all, we are taking the big right angle triangle from right angle triangle OCD. We are taking the right angle triangle OCD. Here in the right angle triangle OCD, OC represents the R, that is nothing but OC square. Hypotenuse square is equal to base OD square plus CD square. OD is not a single line. OD is not a single line. OA plus AD is the OD, so that OC square is equal to OA plus AD whole square plus CD square. OA plus AD is nothing but A plus B whole square form. That is nothing but OC square is equal to A plus B whole square, A square plus B square plus 2AB plus this is nothing but CD square. Now we are substituting the known terms. Here OC is nothing but R, we are only taking the magnitude. R square is equal to P square plus, we don't know about the AD value, plus 2P into, we don't know about AD value and CD square value. Sum this is taken as equation number 1. Now we want to find what is the AD value and what is the CD value we want to find. Here we want to find AD value and this is nothing but the CD value. If it makes an angle, Q makes an angle theta with the P bar, here also same angle theta. If it is the OP bar is Q, this is also what is the value, that is nothing but Q. This is nothing but here, what is the Q, that is the. Now we want to find the AD value. So that we are taking the from right angle triangle, that is nothing but ACD. From right angle triangle ACD. In this right angle triangle, AD is nothing but the adjacent side and AC is nothing but the hypotenuse. What is the relation? Cos theta is nothing but adjacent AD by hypotenuse AC. So that AD is nothing but AC cos theta. AD is nothing but AC is equal Q cos theta. AD is nothing but Q cos theta. Similarly, what about the CD value? CD is nothing but opposite side. Hypotenuse is nothing but AC. What is the relation between opposite and hypotenuse? Sin theta is equal to CD by AC. CD is nothing but AC sin theta. Therefore, CD is equal to Q sin theta. Now we want to substitute the AD and CD values in the equation number 1. AD and CD values in the equation number 1. So that here equation number 1 implies R square is equal to P square plus AD square. AD is nothing but Q cos theta, Q square theta plus 2PAD plus 2P into AD is nothing but Q cos theta plus CD square. CD is nothing but Q sin theta. So that Q square sin square theta. R square is equal P square plus here Q square is the common. Cos square theta plus sin square theta plus 2PQ cos theta plus 2PQ. Sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. Therefore, R square is equal P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. Therefore, what is the magnitude of the resultant? R is equal to under root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. This is the magnitude of resultant. What is the parallelogram law of vectors? When two vectors are represented by the two adjacent sides of the parallelogram, both in magnitude and direction, then the diagonal of the parallelogram represents the resultant of those two vectors both in magnitude and direction. This is called the This is called the parallelogram law of vectors. Here this is the magnitude. Now we go for the direction of the resultant. What is the angle made by the resultant with the P bar? That is nothing but alpha. Now we go for the direction. Here direction. Angle made by R bar with P bar we want to find. What is the angle made by the R bar with P bar? So that from right angle triangle, here we go for the from right angle triangle O, C and D. Here this is nothing but from right angle triangle OCD. What is the angle alpha? Opposite side is nothing but CD and adjacent side is nothing but OD. So that OCD tan alpha tangent gives the direction tan alpha is equal CD by OD. Tan alpha is equal CD by OD is not a single line, that is nothing but OA plus AD. So that tan alpha is equal to CD is nothing but Q sin theta by OA is nothing but P plus AD is nothing but Q cos theta. This is the direction of the vector. This is the direction of the vector. So that is the most important question compulsory. In the next exam, there will be the path of the projectile is parabola and the parallelogram of vectors. Two questions are the two 4 mark questions. Okay, this is the parallelogram of vectors. Now, two vertical components. Next problem. The vertical component of a vector, the vertical component of vector equal to its horizontal component. What is the angle made by the vector with x-axis? What is the angle made by the vector with x-axis? Here, given that vertical component of the vector ry is equal to the rx horizontal component. Here, for example, this is the x-axis, y-axis. For example, this is a vector. This is nothing but r bar, making an angle theta. Here, resolution of the vectors. R bar is nothing but the horizontal component of vector. Rx is nothing but r cos theta. Ry is nothing but r sin theta. Vertical component is nothing but r sin theta. Horizontal component is nothing but r cos theta. So that here r sin theta is equal to the r cos theta. Here r and r cancel. So that sin theta by cos theta is equal to the 1. Tan theta is equal to the 1. Therefore, theta is nothing but 45 degrees. But the angle made by the vector with x-axis, that is nothing but the 45 degrees. That is nothing but 45 degrees. And here in the physics, we can easily score the minimum 50 to 60 marks when we are following these classes. Okay, next one. Okay, next one. Two forces of magnitudes 3 units and 5 units. Here there are two forces of magnitude 3 units and 5 units acts at an angle of 60 degrees with each other. Acts at an angle of 60 degrees with each other. What is the magnitude of their resultant? What is the magnitude of their resultant? We want to find. If to here given that here P is given that 3 units, Q is given that 5 units, and theta is equal to 60 degrees. Therefore, magnitude of resultant R is equal to formula under root of R square plus under root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. R is equal to what is the formula under root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. So that here R is equal under root of P square, that is nothing but 3 square plus 5 square plus 2PQ, 2 into 3 into 5 into cos theta cos 60 degrees. R is equal to under root of 9 plus 25 plus, that is nothing but 50 into 30 into cos 60 degrees is nothing but 1 by 2. This is nothing but 15. R is equal to root 49. Therefore, resultant is nothing but 7 units. What is the resultant? That is nothing but 7 units. Here, this is about the motion in a plane. Here, from motion in a here for completed topics from units and dimensions, there will be a chance of 2 marks question. Motion in a straight line, there will be a chance of 4 plus 2 marks. There will be a chance of 4 plus 2. Motion in a plane, most important one, minimum 4 marks question, single 4 marks question, or there are 2 4 marks questions plus 1 2 marks. There will be a chance of the 2 4 marks questions and 1 2 marks questions. Nana, there will be chance in the 4 marks and the 8 marks. In 4 marks, there are 12 questions. In these 12 questions, we can only write the answers of the 6 questions only. And there are 4 8 marks questions. 8 marks questions, there are 4. In those 4, we can write the 2 questions only. There is a very much choice is there, so that we can do the problems very easily. Here, motion in a straight line, motion in a plane is completed. 3 4 marks questions already completed, and 3 2 marks questions already completed. So that if you follow these 20 days, then you can easily get the minimum 50 marks to the 60 marks you can easily get. Okay, Nana? Thank you. Tomorrow we will discuss about the laws of motion. Tomorrow we will discuss about the laws of motion. And we will send the most important 2 marks and 4 marks and 8 marks questions. And here we are also sending the deleted syllabus. Okay, Nana? So that this is about the today's topic, that is the motion in a plane. We complete the units and dimensions, error, motion in a straight line, motion in a plane. Tomorrow we will discuss about the tomorrow we will discuss about the laws of motion. Okay, Nana? Thank you.